to tonight's August 6th council agenda meeting. Before we begin, I'd like to ask Councilman Howell to lead us in prayer and Councilman Carter will lead the pledge.
Pray with me. Lord, we thank you for a beautiful day. Thank you for letting us all come here together to conduct business for the city of Searcy. Thank you for a community where we are growing and thriving. We just pray that you continue to bless us. Thank you for your son and all that he's done for us. In Jesus' name we pray.
Amen. Amen.
Please face the flag. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, our first item on the agenda tonight is an update on the My Searcy projects.
Evening, everybody. All right, so this will probably be my last update to talk about the Carmichael and Yancey parks because they're pretty much done and open, and a lot of people are enjoying those. The basketball courts are, man, like it's 1,000,000 degrees outside, but they're packed, so it's exciting to see that. Just a couple little things to do on those. The drainage, I think I talked a little bit about the drainage in the corner of the parking lot. Wooster Construction's got to come back and fix. It's kind of low, so they got to raise those grades and fix that. But it's not anything we're gonna have to close the park for. So that's really about it. On our bond projects, we got the Greenway connections still working through RDOT comments. It's a lot of comments back and forth on those tunnels, so that they want to make sure everything is just right. So still working through that. Berry Hill Park, really, I think most of the punch list, I think all the punch list items were done. We're still having some issues with the gates and the fence caps getting knocked off, but that's just some maintenance things we're gonna have to continue to deal with. We are gonna schedule to do the arbor, RJR, when RJR comes back to do our winterizing for the splash pad. Their team's gonna come show our people how to winterize it. So when they come back, we're gonna go ahead and do the arbor at that point in time. That way we don't have to shut the splash pad down for any length of time during the hot months. So we're gonna just schedule that at the same time. So in case you're wondering about that. All right, so then that brings us to our Searcy Landing projects, right? That's the first time we get to talk about the landing area. So that's all of our South Main stuff. So the ramp, great progress continues on it. The block work on the inside is pretty much done, and I actually was driving by and had to like run in because I was like, what happened to our blocks? It has all this wood up, but they've gone and put like some wood over the top of the block work just for protection during the remainder of construction. So, but it's pretty much installed, so you can really see like our bathroom space with the showers and the gym area, and then most of the framing interior is getting close to being done. You're starting to see like conduit and all the duct work for the HVAC, all that's being run through the building. So a lot of the internal guts are starting to take shape. Over at the baseball, softball fields, you can see that they started clearing for the 3 additional fields already. I was pretty shocked and surprised how close they come to Maine. So there's really going to be a noticeable difference coming down Maine, seeing that additional clover leaf. So that's really exciting to see that going. They're also starting concrete work over around the first 5 fields, or between the fields. They'll be starting, or they should have started that concrete work this week. Over at the soccer complex, they've got the new parking lot cut in there just off of Main, so you can kind of see the shape and where that's located now. They've got it all kind of excavated out and scraped off, so it's good to see that and how that all interacts. You'll see a bunch of pipes sticking up out of the ground over there. That's irrigation systems being installed over at the soccer complex. They've been hanging lights, the Musco lights. They've been setting those poles and doing all that as well. Over at aquatics, they've poured concrete on the pool floors. They're starting to do the shells, the gunite, the shotcrete, whatever they call it, is starting to do on actually the pool shells and the walls, and they're about to start actually erecting the tower for the slides themselves. So that'll be really fun. once that really starts to get going vertical, you get to see where the tower with all the slides are going. Out at Little Red River Park, still a bunch of trail progress is being made. There's one small section they have left to complete that's over by the dam. If you're familiar with the area at all, where the dam is, it goes down, it goes really low, kind of where the water backs up in. There's a bridge over there that they've got finished, but that area gets really kind of swampy. So they're gonna have to excavate that whole area out, come in with some filter fabric and geogrid and gravel, and they're gonna really sure up that so it doesn't get soggy, so it'll be riding in all conditions. So that's really the last section they've got left, and then that 3.5 miles will be done completely and will be ready to be open. So really excited about that as well. We've also started making a lot of really good progress on the second cross-country loop. So that's the upper loop that goes up by the water park and then actually to the bluffs and down at the base of the bluffs as well. I was actually out there today, and I haven't been out to where they've started cutting down by the river under the bluffs in a while, and they've got most of that cut out now. And it is just, I mean, it's gonna be incredible. Man, I haven't ever seen the bluffs from that view. And so once you get to the north kind of corner of the park where it's gonna switch back up, I mean, those bluffs are huge. Like, they're amazing, and that's really gonna be a really cool little trail to walk down and walk along the water and see the bluffs. It's gonna be really, really cool. So they've done some clearing up at the top for they're about to start construction on the first hub. The hub is like the elevated structure for where the downhill mountain bike trails, the mountain bike trails only one ways. That's where they start from. They start at this elevated, they're called hubs. So they're about to start construction on this first hub, and it's pretty wild. The design for it, working with Modis, the architects, on the design of it, it's pretty cool. So that's about to start going up, which is fun. That'll be fun to see that one. And then we also met this past month with our architect and engineering team about the remainder of the bond funds, what we're using it for. They presented to us the plans. They're not totally done with those plans, but presented to us what they feel like, design-wise we can finish out with the bonds. So that's the entrance, concrete apron entrance off of Highway 13 with some really nice signage, some improvements actually around the pond along Highway 13, looking at ways to get people to stop parking on the actual highway to go fish, get them off the road and let them go fish off of a dock or a pier. So some of that, as well as some road improvements, some parking, and then the pavilion structure that will be up at the main trail hub. And so got to see the initial plans for that pavilion structure that Modis has built. And if y'all remember a lot of their images and stuff when they came and shared a lot of the work they do, it's a cool one. This will be a really unique and cool structure. So getting really excited to see that. So hoping those plans should be finalized to where we can begin, put them out to bid and begin in construction by the end of the year on those improvements out at River Park. So that's all I got for updates on those projects. Anybody have any questions or anything I can answer? And like always, if y'all want to go out and see anything, I'm happy to give tours. That's my favorite part of the day. So, all right.
Thank you, Richard.
You bet.
Thank you, sir.
Appreciate it. Next on the agenda is a Parks and Recreation operations update.
All right, good evening. Let me exit out of this. All right, so this evening, we want to discuss the operations update for the remainder of this calendar year and going into FY of next year. We'll discuss financial update, hiring and training schedule, and the programs update. So at any time, if I'm moving through these slides too quick, slow me down. I'll try to, for the sake of the room and the meeting, I'll try to speed this up. It is 17 slides. Next slide. So this here, you guys saw back in March, when we briefed back in March, and then previously in October. We took away some of your notes and went in and implemented what we would want to present the way ahead going forward for senior discounts and youth. Next slide, Derek. So this slide here reflects those changes that some of you had discussed and mentioned during that last brief. So we have youth and senior prices on here, but the family rate still stayed the same when it comes to the bundle package. Do most of y'all remember this from March?
Is indoor aquatics and outdoor aquatics the same as
It
far
is.
as the bundle?
It is not, no, it is not. Oh, yes, I'm sorry, so the indoor aquatics and community center is the bundle package. And with the bundle package, you get a discounted rate for the outdoor aquatics. So the cost for the outdoor with the membership is $5 versus 10.
Per month?
Yes.
Nathan, when you're talking about the community center, what are we talking about there? What services are available, or what functions are available? Is that like when they rent rooms for wedding receptions and things like that?
Well, you'll see on an upcoming slide deck, so if you are a member of the community center, you will get discounted rates. I think it's 20%. You'll see that in an upcoming slide. But the gym facilities, the indoor track, the use of the facility, but no, it doesn't. To have a room, you will have to have a room rental, but there is a discount by having a membership with the community center.
Thank you.
Yes, sir. Next slide. So these are some of the fee rates for some of the areas that will be available for renting. Outdoor amphitheater, we have at $1,200. The ramp for the entire facility for the day is $5,000. Court rentals, that's for all 3 courts during tournaments. So when tournaments come in, any tournament director, that'll be their fee for the courts. The new baseball complex, that's a cost per field per day. Event room rentals, it's pretty self-explanatory. This is a slide I was talking about here, Mr. Morris, with the 20% discount for members. And I'll make a note on the bottom right. So those are some additional rental spaces that we're looking at rolling out the prices for those for Q1 of 27. Any questions on this? Next slide. So we also talked about corporate rates. That was a big thing back in March as well. Here we've got some corporate rates. This is the form for that. 10 plus employees is 10 to 20 is the 10% discount, and greater than 20 will be a 20% discount. Next slide. Next slide. So we've seen this time and time again. I think the biggest takeaway here that I want to bring to your attention is we removed the events and marketing coordinator, the events and marketing manager and the trails manager. We're presenting that to you for the trails coordinator. We'll go to contract labor, and that the events and marketing manager is now just becoming an events coordinator that will fall under the recreation manager. So if you remember that from last time.
Would you say that again, please?
So last time we had briefed, the managerial levels, you'll see the ramp, recreation, Rialto, and pool. Up there, we also had the events and marketing manager and the trails manager position. So we've removed those 2 positions from the managerial roles, moved the trails manager to a trails coordinator, which will become contract labor, not a full-time position. And then the events marketing manager has now become an events coordinator that falls under the recreation manager. Does that make sense?
It makes sense, but have we approved events coordinator?
No, sir, so in the upcoming,
Proposed, right?
that's correct. So in the upcoming slide here, Mr. Carver, you'll see the 3 main hiring. The blessing that we're trying to receive from you guys on Tuesday is to move forward with the 3 new hires, 2 being in Q4 and 1 being in Q1 of January 27. Next slide. So here's those 3 positions. The immediate hiring for those that we're requesting for you guys to bless off on is the rent manager here in Q4. The trails coordinator, which I just discussed, is moving from a full-time position to contract labor. And then the interview and announcement piece for the event coordinator in Q4 to hire in 27, beginning Q1 of 27. An important note on this is with these positions asking for approval to hire the full-time rent manager and trails coordinator, it's not asking for any additional monies. Those monies already exist in the budget.
The monies already exist in the budget for the event coordinator?
In contract labor. Well, no, the event coordinator wouldn't come on board until January of 27. That would be in the proposed budget that we'll submit at the end of this year. We're just asking and seeking blessing to announce the job, do the interviews, select the individual to start at Q1 of next year.
What's the proposed completion date?
1 March, if I'm not mistaken. Well, everything here is planned to open up Memorial Day weekend. Is it 1 April? This planning cycle here is based off of May 28th opening date. We have been informed of 1 April is,
So the April date is the turnover date to us, so that'll be planning a month worth of training and getting the facility ready to actually open it to the public on our end. But the contractor should be handing us the building.
which we'll discuss the piece of training and stuff here on a few more slides, which will probably answer that. All right, this slide, I feel this is the most important takeaway here. This is our comprehensive hiring schedule. So obviously, we're in August, we're seeking council's approval for the ramp manager in Q4, the trails coordinator, which is contract labor for Q4, and the events coordinator that would start Q1 of 27. Next month, we would interview and select the ramp and trails coordinator. And then October through December, the ramp manager begins work, trails coordinator begins work, and then interview and select event coordinator. January 27, we're proposing that, and all these will reflect in the budget that we'll submit at the end of the year to fulfill these obligations here based off the council's approval. But that would be the additional program coordinator, 2 groundskeepers, 2 custodians, 2 front desk, and then 2 facility staff. February to March timeframe, we'll interview and select full-time positions, begin taking applications for the part-time positions, and then in April, full-time positions begin work, and then we'll interview and select the part-time positions at that time as well, which would consist of 40 lifeguards and 30 to 40 facility staff, which would include front desk staff, facility custodians, and janitors. May, part-time positions will start working.
How many total new employees will we be hiring?
So full-time, it would be 22. We'll go back to the previous little chart. So if you remember, in March, we had 23 full-time employees. Since we requested and we're moving down the events and marketing manager, that is reduced to the full-time employees to 22. But if you take the 22 full-time employees that we're requesting and then the part-time is an additional roughly 70 to 80 part-time employees on top of the 108 we currently have right now. All right, next slide. Go back one more there. Any questions? No, go back, go forward, I'm sorry. Any questions on this slide? It's a lot, I understand. It's a lot for us too. All right, next slide. So training schedule and courses, the 2 biggest takeaways that we feel are important moving forward when it comes to the training and hiring process is the software training and the customer service piece of it. The other 2, department orientation and the safety training will kind of it'll fall in place. But customer service and software training with the new Civic Rec program is pretty crucial. There we go. Sorry. There we go. Well, I tell you what, if it messes up again, I'll just brief by exception. Y'all all got to.
Sure, I like what you haven't read.
Yes, sir. I mean, that's, from a city leader standpoint and leadership standpoint, that is the most important piece. Any questions on this slide? Next slide. So facility utilization and community outreach. So this is an update on our programs that we're going to be offering. And some of those programs are your core legacy programs, which are true core programs that exist now. Your softball, your baseball, your adult softball, your basketball league, youth basketball league, and then our micro programs. So some of those programs are, and I won't bog it down too much, but those are your programs that we're trying to turn into core programs that will become long-term sustaining programs. Community classes and workshops, and then, of course, the year-round community events. So, next slide. So the purpose of this slide is to kind of give you a breakdown of the next 4 slides. So this will kind of show the roles and responsibilities of the rec manager, and falling below them would be the 3 program coordinators, which 2 exist now. We're asking for 1 to hire, and then the blessing to approve the new event coordinator position moving forward in Q1. Any questions? Next slide. So I won't go over each one of these, just know that if it's highlighted in black, it's programs that we currently offer now. If it's highlighted in blue, it's programs that we're looking at adding into calendar year 27. So these are some of the youth and adult programs that we have in the core sports. Next slide. Some of the core fitness programs that we have now. Miss Joanne has done fantastic on that. If you guys are keeping up with that, it's really taken off. But again, highlighted in black is what we currently have. Highlighted in blue is what we'll bring on in 27 and some into 28. I know it's a lot. I get it. Next slide. So these are some of the micro programs that we're going to offer. These are not set in stone, but these are the time frames of what we're going to present that will lay these out going into 27, really kind of 28. Your first few months here, you know, we're not in place at that time, but 28, mainly 28. Next slide. Community events, some of these you're familiar with. Holiday of Lights, the trick or treat at the ramp, movie at the park. But these are some of the community events that would fall directly under that event coordinator that will roll into place into 27, except for the first quarter. Next slide. So this slide here, I won't go over the left side. These are some of the things that have been completed on our planning schedule. The 2 that I want to highlight the most on the right side is the August, September timeframe. The 27 budget preparation, from my understanding, Jason is going to get something out to us next month. We'll start working that piece. Our biggest thing in the Parks Department, we're going to propose some appropriate adjustments in that and consolidate and streamline kind of the lines of accounting. Big takeaway here, develop a mission statement, develop department priorities and guiding principles, and then interview and select the ramp and trails coordinator. Those things will take place after the mayor has selected a new parks director. But outside of that, I won't touch January and February 27, but if you've got any questions, please let me know. Other than that, I don't have any questions. That's all I've got.
Can you email that out to us?
Most certainly. Was it in your packet?
Yeah,
Is it? Okay, never mind.
Yes, sir.
Well, I asked a very dumb question, at least one I don't know the answer to. What is blast ball?
So, Mr. Derrick, I'm gonna go ahead and let you take the lead on that. It's kind of it's an indoor kind of it's a younger introduction league to the younger kids before kind of coming into the T-ball phase. The ins and outs of it, I don't know that at this point, but that's what it's designed for, is the introduction into the T-ball. Yeah.
It's really popular. He covered it very well. It's just introduction to baseball and softball, but in the cities that have implemented it, it seems to be very popular. It's just a way to get like 3- and 4-year-olds kind of.
And it'll be indoors in the community
That's
centers
exactly
where
right.
it'll be held at.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Have we gone as far as to begin to lay out any budget impacts to the positions?
For all the part-time and full-time?
Yeah.
So we'll present that in the budget request that Jason sends out assuming next month.
Okay.
Yes, sir. But as far as I guess the biggest takeaway with the presentation tonight is looking for the council's blessing on Tuesday to move forward with these top two positions here, and that's hiring the full-time ramp manager, which is crucial to have in place. So they're situated, they're nestled, they're up to speed on the software program with Civic Rec, so they can take on that load come January timeframe. It's beginning of the year when we hire all those other positions. That's the biggest takeaway from this presentation from me to you guys, is the blessing on Tuesday to move forward with those two hires in Q4, with the monies in place in the current budget, and the interview and application process for the event coordinator to hire at the beginning of Q1 '27.
Devin, I think y'all have done a really good job. They did a lot of work and time with this presentation. Personally, I would like to see a little bit more of what Jason has to give us. Budget-wise, before approving the event coordinator, I agree to the first two. I think the event coordinator is hovering over the want-need line, and I would like to see what that looks like on paper first before making a decision on that.
Okay, job description wise,
Well, it's not just job description, I mean, but it's proposed salary versus what the budget, overall budget picture looks like. We've turned the event coordinator position down 3 times already, to my knowledge. So, and it keeps popping back up every budget time. So, I'm not opposed. I just want to make sure that we can pay for all these hires that we're proposing to hire. Full and part-time, administrative, and on down the line. So you're talking about adding a lot of people to the role, and we'll make sure we can pay for it.
I got you. So just to kind of give a quick reminder, initially when it was first presented, it was at a salary of $55,000 a year as the events and marketing manager. That salary now as an events coordinator is at a $16.25 an hour pay scale. So we went from 55 to roughly 36,000 a year. Then you can add on roughly 22% for all the other cost of the retirement and FICA, and so roughly 48,000.
But still getting the function of the position.
Correct. Yep. But we can get that to you as soon as that rolls out. I mean, that's just kind of a quick snapshot of the monies of that position.
So we move forward a vote on those positions to Tuesday.
Yes.
Everybody like to do? Okay. All right.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Damon.
Yes, sir.
Our next item on the agenda is an update on our flock camera use in the city. If there's public comment for this one, we'd like for you to sign in at the podium, give us your name and address, and you'll have a 5-minute time limit to speak. And we'll have the chief come up after those folks have spoken.
It's just me. Do I just
Go right ahead.
All right. Good evening.
Please state your name and address.
Will Harness, 1704 Waycross Drive. I want to start my speech to you the same way I began my email to you. Searcy has a lot of great things going for it, and that's a large part due to the people in this room. I don't discredit or ignore that by any means. I can assure you that I do not take any more joy being here and giving this speech than you do being here and listening to it. But I've lived in Searcy for the last 10 years. I went to grade school here, I went to high school here, I went to college here, I now work here. Searcy is my home. In college, I studied political science. We didn't wear lab coats and study protons. We were taught the history of how governments interact with their populations, what has worked, what has failed, and if we do our job right, we can tell you why. We also determined how to look past stats and find the facts. Mark Twain said it best: there's a lie, there's a damn lie, and there's a statistic. It is fascinating to see all the different paths human beings have taken to try to perfect this thing we call government. One observation I gathered from my studies was that a little bit of bad can overcome a whole lot of good. And there is a whole lot of good here in Searcy, but we face more than a little bit of bad when it comes to the integration of the flock license plate readers. For starters, to call them license plate readers is a misrepresentation of what we're actually looking at here. According to Flock's own website, the specific models we have here in Searcy take note of license plate, make, model, estimated year range, bumper stickers, dents, scratches, paint chips, time of passing, date of passing, and even if there's a dog in your truck bed. That's a direct quote from them. I did not make that up. For the last 3 years, the movements of law-abiding Searcy citizens have been monitored, and I'm here to ask if there was a public chance to voice concerns and or ask questions before the council voted to fund it in October of 2023. That is not the only question I have right now, and we won't have time to cover all of them, but I've provided a well-organized packet that has been emailed to the city clerk email. I have several questions about how we got here, but my deepest concern and the most troubling detail of all of our lives right now is that that data exists. It's out there in the cloud. And if we're all honest here, there might be one person in this room who even understands what that even means. And Flock says they do not own the data, but they have a direct, and I quote, limited license to the data. But I cannot find any specifications on what type of access that grants them. And there are several documented accounts of internal misuse of that data. There was just a case leading to an investigation and release of officers in Fayetteville, just a close to home example. The objective truth is that no one in this room or on the planet can say with absolute certainty that this data is not at risk of being misused or leveraged in some way. But internal misuse is really not even my most troubling possibility. I imagine there are several parties around the world who would benefit from having the movement data of the citizens of the United States, and likely a few more who wouldn't mind making loads and loads of money from selling that data. And did I mention there are over 100,000 Flock cameras in our country? 22 of them being in Searcy, with plans to expand to 30. These 22 cameras do not just capture all the data mentioned earlier about your vehicle. It relays that information to the other cameras. By doing so, it can piece together that you got a late start this morning and left the house 9 minutes later than usual. You grabbed your go-to cappuccino on the way to work. You arrived just in the nick of time. After work, you went to see some family members before meeting some friends for a few games of pickleball. And when you finally do roll into your driveway around 8:13 p.m., you are exhausted from the day and ready for bed before doing it all again the next morning. The best part is that you are a law-abiding citizen. It is fascinating to see all the different paths human beings have taken to try to perfect this thing we call government. Our founding fathers chose the path of empowering the people, honoring their privacy, and equipping them with the freedoms necessary to become and do anything they want. This system they created works. Local government works. I'm not questioning this. I'm not arguing that Flock cameras do not solve crimes. They most certainly do help solve crimes, even if there are cases of misuse, incorrect entries, or other side effects of a rapidly changing world, which is what we have today. And I'm a proud American. I have great respect for our police officers. I'm here because there are citizens of Searcy who do not consent or desire to be monitored like this by anyone, like ever. Not because we have something to hide, but because we have nothing to hide. We abide by the laws set out before us by our government and society. In doing so, we have earned the right to privacy. This is the fundamental idea behind our prison system. When a person breaks these laws, they are detained from society. Their freedom of privacy is justifiably taken away. Now, I have personal concerns of Fourth Amendment violations based upon the Supreme Court decision in Carpenter versus United States that deemed the use of comprehensive collection of movement data to be government overreach and would require a warrant to access. But for now, completely take that out of the equation. The bottom line is, if the people of Searcy do not want to be monitored, then it is your most imperative obligation to honor that wish. I have proposed a compromise that will balance the efficiency of law enforcement and the protection of privacy to the public. There has been no comment yet on that compromise. I propose that these Flock cameras be placed at true entry and exit points of the city, interstates, far ends of bypasses, etc. But they have absolutely no business being anywhere near residential areas. I have asked about public involvement in this decision. I have asked about the data this decision was based off of, and I now ask on behalf of the citizens of Searcy that you honor the contract you have with the people in this city above the contracts that you have with Flock Safety. That you remove, not unplug, not reprogram, not dilute the capabilities of, complete removal of Flock technology from any and all residential areas within the city. I have yet to receive direct answers to these questions, among others, and I do not have time to cover everything, but I wish I had the entire list of questions, and I've put the entire list of questions and my cited sources of information all in that email I had sent to the city council, general email. I'm not bringing any accusations before you. This is in no way a conspiracy. All of the information I presented is backed by either the words of the city council, police chief, flock safety website, local news articles, or documents created by Searcy City Council. I'm here ultimately for one reason, to represent the city of Searcy who do not support this, who I know exist from simply talking to them, to force this conversation into existence, and to help shine a light on the details of this decision / the capabilities of flock cameras of those who are unaware, and to assure this technology is removed from residential areas along with the existing data behind those movements, and that nothing like this will ever return to Searcy again. Now that's my full speech.
Thank you, we'll let you go down, just a little bit there, thank you. Thank you for that.
Good evening. I did not know this was gonna be a public,
Would you state your name?
oh yes, sorry. Ryan Blythe, 5 Ridgeview Court, Searcy. About a month ago at the last city council meeting, I gave a paper to Mr. Morris, who is my representative, regarding my issues with these flock cameras. And after that, I submitted a Freedom of Information Act request to the city and got every single document regarding flock cameras. I'm not sure how many of you have read all of these, but I have looked at all of them, and there are some things that I see as quite concerning. The previous man made several very good points. Again, these cameras use AI and have lots of problems, like reading a 0 as an O and flagging a innocent mother with children in the back seat as a serial killer and prompting a large police response, which then causes the city to get sued by that woman, and the taxpayers must pay out. It's not a question of if these cameras will fail in Searcy, it's when will these cameras fail. And when they do fail, if we keep them up, it's all of us who have to pay for it. It's not just faraway states like Minnesota and Texas where this has happened. Again, Fayetteville has had problems with them, and even Sherwood has had problems with them. Some places in Arkansas have decided to remove their cameras, and some have doubled down. These cameras also have not just a high failure rate, but also a low effective rate. Most people don't commit crimes. And when you do, you're probably not gonna drive by a flock camera if you're smart enough. Less than 1% of cars scanned by these ALPRs are ever connected to a crime. And while I wouldn't say the Fourth Amendment blocks this, I would consider this a loophole because you are contracting with a private company. And if you set this up yourselves, it would be illegal. However, it is not due to this. Also, I'd like to make one more point. The standalone flock cameras do not have breakaway points. That is a civil engineering thing. Or if a car hits a flock camera that is on a standalone pole, it will be devastating. Normal light poles, if you hit it, it will break away and cause way less damage to the vehicle and anyone around. But these cameras are not just dangerous to people, but if you physically smack into them with your car, if you're in a car crash, you have a higher chance of getting in a deadly crash. Again, he made a lot of previous points, and I fully agree with all of them. However, I will say that these cameras should be fully removed, and I request that the city enact an emergency ordinance to turn off and remove these cameras. Flock is not a good company to work with. Their CEO has called people who don't like these cameras terrorists, and again, they're not safe. They have errors, and they are commonly hacked. There have been several people like myself, not me, but people who don't like cameras like me, who have been able to find exploits in these cameras and view them. They can track people all across the nation just by using an internet browser. They don't need any hacking skills, you just do it. They are not safe, their security level is very low. I have talked with people who know way more about technology than I do, and they say these are very basic fixes that the company chose to not make, probably for cost-cutting reasons. I'm almost out of time, but again, I request that these cameras be removed. Thank you.
Thank you, Ryan. Anyone else that would like to speak? Not Chief, you wanna?
I don't disagree with everything they said, to be honest with you. We're having our own issues with Flock, but I will have to say that not everything they said was true. Flock has actually never been hacked. You can Google that. I'll quote a lawyer from the Municipal League. Just because you want something to be a Fourth Amendment violation, or just because you think it's a Fourth Amendment violation, does not make it a Fourth Amendment violation. US versus Knotts says that. Flock cameras, so these are some of the myths that we deal with. I see locally on some of our social media, that Flock cameras will send tickets. They do not. We sell information to third parties like Amazon. If we did that, then we're violating ACIC. And if we violate ACIC, we're looking at 10 years in prison or a $10,000 fine. Can't do that either. Facial recognition doesn't exist. The AI, where they can pinpoint dents in vehicles or bumper stickers, we actually don't pay for that because you pay for your camera plus the extra subscription for that. We don't pay for that because it's already too much as it is. I keep hearing the widespread misuse of Flock by law enforcement. Right now, there's approximately 50 cases around the country. While that's 50 too many, there's somewhere between 700,000 and 750,000 members of law enforcement. So if you figure 50 cases over the 700,000 law enforcement members, that's a fraction of 1% of law enforcement. So when I hear widespread misuse, that's irritating. And Flock, I learned this week that Flock will pick up the Bluetooth on your cell phone when you drive by. Also false. Now, with all that being said, we're asking the council to get out of the Flock contracts. Now, it may not happen as quick as these two gentlemen want, to where we just immediately take the cameras down, because that Flock installs and Flock takes them down. We've been waiting 3 years to get all of our cameras installed. They'll come do 1 or 2 at a time. So I can imagine if they install them that slow, they'll probably take them down slower. Reasons why we're wanting to get away from Flock is, one, our lack of communication. When we need something from Flock, I asked them a question last week about some contract information, and we're here a week later and I've yet to hear anything. The FOIA requests that we're getting, if we're getting from Searcy, that's fine, but we're getting from around the state. And they're tying up an officer that usually would be working on grants for the police department, where he's doing nothing but doing FOIAs for Flock. When we first got with Flock, started talking to them, one thing they told us is that's something we wouldn't have to worry about. We would give somebody a link. That link would go to Flock. Flock would fill the FOIA. Obviously, that wasn't true. Another concern I have with Flock is if somebody were to damage a camera, steal a camera, or the camera were to go bad, we were told Flock would replace the camera. It's their camera. We just pay a subscription. Here about 3 weeks ago, we were given a price list. If anything from a solar battery were to go bad, we have to pay the cost of it. If somebody steals a camera, then there's a really high cost to it. That wasn't the original discussions. And the biggest reason why I want to get away from Flock is we're just not using them. We have approximately 10 officers that actually use Flock, and most of those are detectives that are working cases on stolen vehicles or stuff like that. So I don't feel we're getting our money's worth on it. Another thing I wanted to address is Mr. Harnett said he wished that the cameras were just put at entry points. People don't realize how many entry and exit points we have in this city. It's more than just interstates and Highway 36. His neighborhood alone, we had 2 cameras over there. One was taken down. You remember last week I thought we had some stolen, but Flock, this goes back to the lack of communication. Flock sent a technician and they took down 4 cameras without telling us, because they actually installed them in the wrong spot. They installed them in a Department of Transportation right-of-way, and then DOT sent them a letter saying, take them out of our right-of-way. Well, they didn't tell us they were coming to take them, so we spent half a day with all of our resources trying to figure out who stole the cameras. So it goes back to the lack of communication. But listen, Flock is a good tool. It really is. It's just not a tool for us that I think we need. And it's not going to solve every crime. It's not the only tool to solve a crime. So I think moving forward, again, if I don't know how long it'll take Flock to take their cameras down if we decide to move away from Flock, but there are cameras that are not license plate readers that we have in our parks. They just record is all they do. They record movement, they record anything that's going on in the park. Until we can get some better security in our parks, I say we keep those up, but we can turn the license plate reading function off of the other cameras, and I'm fine with that. I know there's a lot of heat right now around the country with these cameras. I think there's a lot of misconceptions out there with these cameras. That's fine, but for us, I don't think we're getting the money's worth out of the cameras. And we currently have 18 up now, not 22, because they took 4 down last week. So, does anybody have any questions about Flock? And here's the deal, Flock is not the only license plate reading cameras out there, but because the social media post of DFlock, that's all they talk about is Flock. So that's everybody knows, but there's several different brands out there of license plate reading cameras. We just happen to have Flock here.
Chief, did I understand that we had some vandalized?
No, we thought they were stolen. That was the technician that came out and took 4 down. They didn't tell us.
That would be destruction of public property.
So if somebody were to do that, and that's the thing is these Flock, these anti-Flock people, I'm not saying these 2 gentlemen that spoke, but on some of these pages, they're encouraging you to either steal them, damage them, whatever. And that's fine. If you do it and you get caught, you're a felon. The cameras are over the felony amount. So if you're going to do something like that, you become a felon.
Thank you.
The information we were getting on the Flock cameras in the public areas was just as if a police officer was standing out there watching the car go by, isn't it?
So the general idea, 3+ years ago, I guess now, Mr. Welch approached us with Forward Searcy and gave us some stats. It was with the Chamber and Forward Searcy showing crime rates in Searcy. And one of the things that was concerning to us was that said Searcy had a higher than average number of vehicle thefts for our size, which was concerning to us. And that was about the same time we were being told about Flock, and we thought, well, that would be a great tool to try to cut down on our vehicle thefts. And that was one of the reasons why we looked into Flock. And also, in 2020, you'll remember, not just in Searcy, but all over the country, it seemed like everybody was going crazy, and we had a high number of homicides that year. And at one point, all we knew from one of the homicides was the color of a car and the make. Had we had Flock cameras installed at that time, we probably could have gotten a better direction of travel when they left our city.
Wasn't it used one time to catch a pretty serious criminal?
About this time last year, it was a double homicide in Texas, and he came to Searcy, Arkansas. And now again, the Flock camera told us he was here, the Flock camera told us the location that he was at, but it still took work from our detectives and working with the White County Sheriff's Office to find the guy. Again, Flock is a tool. It's not the only, it's not the number one crime solver.
What I really want to make clear is what the Flock cameras were looking at was nothing illegal. It was out in public information.
Yeah, it goes back to NOTS or US versus NOTS. It's in a public right of way. You're on a public road. It's no different. We have a Facebook page here in town, Searcy Bad Drivers. They're doing the same thing. They're going around taking pictures of people that can't park. What's the difference?
Flock did not cause anyone to lose their privacy. When you get out in public, virtually you've lost your privacy. Anyone can photograph, video, anybody they want to, your vehicle, your license plate. Right. I mean, that's a right anyone has. And I think maybe this has been overplayed because that was not the intent of Flock, and Flock did not violate privacy.
It definitely wasn't. Our intent's not to follow people around. Sir, I don't care how many times you drive on down Race Street, but if your car gets stolen, I want to try to. Last month we had a case where a car was stolen on a Tuesday, and later that afternoon, Flock located it and notified the officer, and the officer was able to find it.
Exactly.
It's a good tool, but it's one that I don't think we use enough.
When will our contract be over with Flock?
So there's 3 separate contracts. It was supposed to be 2 phases. Again, we're still waiting on 8 now, minus the 4 that they just took down. One ends in March, one ends in April, and one ends in October of next year. That's part of my conversation that I'm trying to have with Flock, that they're not being very receptive, is how do we get out of that last contract? And not have to, let's just go ahead and, if this is what we decide to do, how do we move forward and just call it good?
But it's your recommendation that we not renew our contracts and not use FLOC, not for the reasons that have been expressed about breaching privacy or anything. That's just, it's not the best system.
It's not for us. It may be for bigger cities, but it's not for us. I don't think we're breaching anybody's privacy. Again, it's not a Fourth Amendment violation if you have no expectation of privacy in the public.
Okay. Thank you, Chief.
Mr. Moore, have Mr. Moore taken a look at the contract at all?
No, but the date, I mean, I have previously, not in the run up to this, but those dates align.
Are you able to take a look and see what you think about the termination clause?
I'm happy to.
We'll get it to you. Somebody else?
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Item number 4 is a request to waive boundary street improvement requirements for Hawks Homes.
So I appreciate folks from the public coming in here and expressing yourself. I'd like to hear, I'd like that to happen more, so thank you to both of you for coming in, giving us good feedback.
Thank you, Mr. Neer. Yesterday at Planning Commission, the Planning Commission approved a large-scale development for Hawks Homes, new location at the corner of Taylor Road and Cartoon Drive. That sits between East Line Road and Interstate 57, if you're not familiar with the area. Part of that request was to allow for in lieu payment instead of half-street improvements along Cartoon and Taylor Road. At the meeting, I did mention that I was going to present to you all a request to consider waiving half-street improvements altogether associated with this project. I believe in your packet you have our site plan. Is that correct? Okay. So there's about 900 linear feet of road frontage. During the review, Mr. Whitlow, our city engineer, asked that we would increase our right-of-way dedication to 60 foot so that this could remain open ditch instead of curb and gutter and underground storm drainage. So that was his preference as well as ours, the applicants, and Mr. Stafford's. In that 900 feet, there are 0.2 feet of fall. So in other words, it's completely flat. This is sort of a recurring theme on the east side of town, as you all know. We have a lot of roads that are completely flat. So reconstructing of our half of the street would necessitate the city constructing the other half of the street. Just to add curb and gutter and underground drainage for that 900 feet, I had pegged it around $125,000. When you add in the earthwork that would be required to create rise and fall in the street, that number jumps up to over $200,000. Now, the code requires Mr. Whitlow to confirm my estimate. He has not yet. He's out of office this week. So that number may change slightly, but not significantly. But the ask is that you all would consider waiving half-street improvements entirely based on the fact that it seems unlikely the city would expend that money to improve Cartoon Drive in the next 5 years. Of course, that's up to you all.
Can I ask you a question? On this drawing right here, I've seen that too.
Yes, sir.
What street borders the 900 something feet? Which one?
I'll point it out to you if I can. So,
It's not labeled.
so this is Taylor Road. And from this point to this point on Cartoon Drive is 900 linear feet. So about 700 feet of that is Cartoon, maybe 750.
Which street is it, the bottom, the large one?
The short side is, this is Taylor Road. And, oh, no, I'm sorry, I'm backwards. This is Taylor Road, and this is Cartoon Drive. That text is really small on that printout, sorry.
This is.
That's East Line. That's East Line.
East Line. Thank you.
Yes, sir. That's right, that's East Line. This is Taylor and Cartoon.
I drove out there today and I just don't see the need and necessity of that kind of expense. We've waived this before in other areas of the city for various reasons. I would move it to Tuesday night and approve
Next item on our agenda is a update on the police department, architectural design and construction manager.
Yeah, just a quick update. We've advertised 2 times for the CM. If you remember right, we were gonna take a 2-month process to do the 2 weeks of advertising, give them ample time to put together packets, and then be able to take the time to actually interview a short list, because we expect, with the size of the project, we should get a lot of interest from contractors on this project. So we have done the advertising, but our packets aren't due until still a couple weeks, or a week, I think a week left, until our packets are due. So I did meet with Barry after our last meeting, talked about that we hadn't really made up our mind on the location as of yet, and kind of talking through the process of doing that. He was really glad to hear that the city's gonna move forward with the construction manager process that would help facilitate getting some better hard numbers. So we just kind of started talking about putting together a spreadsheet with more concrete numbers that then once the contractor's on board, we could start plugging things in to really kind of evaluate the different sites and see which one would be the best location. And then I did also update him on our processes that now that we kind of have a figure in mind as far as what we feel like we can afford, the maximum amount we can afford through the bonds is that number that we're gonna have to work through. And so he's starting to put kind of together the police department's list of needs and start to have meetings with the chief and the major and whoever else at PD to kind of start going through that program and seeing where we can, if we have to make squeeze some of those numbers down to get into budget. So good conversation. He's excited about the project and moving forward. So but that's kind of where we're at right now.
And on the financing side,
Yep.
as soon as we have some more definitiveness around the whole idea, Ryan Bowman of the Friday Firm will bring a resolution to you guys.
Planning on doing that next month.
The goal, he could have had it tonight, but without as much definitiveness as we will ultimately have, he said there's no harm in waiting. So, that domino, if you will, is teed up to fall whenever we need it.
I asked for the new police department to be on the agenda tonight because I would like it to be located at the corner of Recreational Way and South Main. It's that tract of property we bought. Completed us owning all of that over there. It'd be right across from the entry into the ramp. And the area is more than what Barry worked with when we were thinking about doing it at the sanitation area. So his initial plans ought to be easy to plop on that ground. We own it, we're not gonna have to buy it, it's not gonna be like the site we were talking about before. So I would move that we put that decision on the agenda for Tuesday night.
Have we run anything by, the people that have done the, city plans, the Craft and Toll? We had gotten their input on that. And I don't have a problem with it. I'd just like to have their opinion on what they think about that location.
I haven't. It's kind of the first we've been hearing about it, but I'm happy to reach out to him prior to Tuesday if you'd like me to.
Yeah.
I think it's a pretty valid points that Mr. Randy made as far as location. I haven't had a chance to discuss it with Chief on the location as far as, but it seems like, in my opinion, I think it'd be.
I'd like to get their input and see what they plan cities.
I mean, we didn't have, there weren't any, as y'all remember, there's not really any long-term plans in concrete or anything on that corner. I think we wanted to make sure that we had control of it more than anything. We've kicked around ideas about, just having it for future expansion of the soccer complex, or there's been some discussions about maybe even a championship style field for soccer and Pee Wee football with stands and that type of thing. But that's just kind of concrete. But
yeah, I'm not opposed to that at all. I just like to get their input and see.
All I know is I haven't had one citizen contact me, and I've had several that's in favor of Moore Street.
Several that is in favor or is not?
Is not. I've not had one citizen contact me and say, I think it's a good idea to build a new police department over on Moore.
Richard, I'm like Mr. Rainey, I've had numerous people who have made comments to me since we discussed it at the last meeting, the July meeting. And, I'm like Mr. Rainey, I've yet to have a single person say, boy, that's a real good location for it out there. They're concerned about what I talked to the chief and the major about the other night at the meeting. They're concerned about emergency access, the fact that it is a small location out there, landlocked, so to speak, and it would have to be a two-story or multiple-story building where many people have made the comment it would just be a much prettier, nicer curb appeal, as the real estate people say, to have a single-story type building, a single-story structure. And I'm like Mr. Rainey, I've yet to have anyone really say, man, that Moore Street location is a great location. I had not thought about the Main and the Recreational Way property until today, till it was brought to my attention. But I'm warming up to it because there again, it's out with everything that's new, everything that we're building new, and it would be, in my opinion, a good. I don't want to use the word centerpiece, because obviously the Searcy Community Center is that. That's the centerpiece, but with the swim facilities, the water park, things like that, the police department would fit in good out there, in my opinion. And I don't want the police department to think we're trying to supersede their recommendations and things of that nature, but I just don't feel like the Moore Street, Moore Avenue location is a real suitable location for those reasons that we've just stated.
Yeah,
That's a comment I'm getting from the people that we, Mr. Kirkland and I, represent in Ward 1, and then people across the city that are making comments to me.
Yes, sir, yeah. Mr. Morris, I mean, I agree. It's not, you know, I think, I hadn't thought about that corner idea either. I kind of wish I had a long time ago, too.
I've also had negative comments about the Moore Street property, mainly because of the size, the location. You know, I don't know how that would affect the operation. I would really like to hear Chief Hernandez initial opinion of this situation on South Main.
I mean, it's a blank slate. We start from grass up instead of knocking property down. The only thing I would ask that if this is something that we do, that, and I'm not talking about a lot of money, but we put a little bit of money into the current East Precinct and keep it where it is as a place for officers that have to get out of their car to do reports or use the restroom or just get out of their car, and they're still in that area of the city.
You talk about there on Moore?
Yes, sir. Somewhere close to like the River Oaks area.
Okay.
Instead of them having to go all the way to South Main and do all that, they can do it at the East Precinct still, like we used to do back in the day, but before we turned it into what it is now.
That's not gonna cost any money, cause we got it, you know?
Right, and I'm not saying drop a lot of money into the building, but we would need to do some freshening up of the building, make it something we're proud of.
Again, I just think South Main side's the best. I have no problem with Mr. Howe's request to check with our other planners, but, you know, when we bought that tract, we knew we were just buying it so no one else could get it. And I think this is just perfect.
We didn't know why we were buying it, did we?
So, dude, it's 8 acres.
It's 8 acres. You might not, I was gonna say, you might not have to use but half of it.
Yeah, I don't think we would use all 8 acres, but enough space.
One thing I would like to see in the future, probably past my time, is that, you know, the idea was to get us all on one piece of property. That maybe sometime in the future, when financially we can do it, to build some sort of a shop out there that would have a good aesthetic look, but to get the whole PD on one location, instead of having it spread out across the city.
Let's move it to Tuesday night. Let's let Mr. Stafford talk with the other planners and see if that's stepping on anybody's toes and go from there.
Yeah, Chief, we discussed the other night, and like I said, one of my main concerns was emergency response, and like you stated, a lot of the patrol cars are all over town, so they're gonna take emergency call from wherever they are. But, it appears to me they could come up Main and hit BB caps and go either direction and then split off from there, about as good as they could come out of, Eastmore Avenue, up Davis Drive or wherever, however they get out. Am I thinking pretty logical on that?
Right, that area has close, interstate access as well to, if we needed to go to the,
Get an emergency, wherever a patrol car is in town, would respond.
Yeah, and like I said before, several times I hear where an officer gets dispatched to a call and somebody will overtake that call because they're closer. Our guys and girls are good about doing that.
Thank you, sir.
I think also that I saw a negative comment or two about location of the police station, that it's an administrative building, right? You don't bring prisoners in and out of there. It's administrative housing.
There's times where we have to do interviews with prisoners or people that we are arresting, or you arrest them for DWI, stuff like that. But yes, there was some comments that people clearly don't understand exactly what happens at a police department.
Right. The criminals go to jail. They don't go to the police department.
We're not a holding facility, no.
Okay, so we'll move forward and report from Richard for Tuesday.
Happy to.
Okay, all right. Next item on the agenda is the presentation of a selection of a design-build trail contractor for the Trails Project.
So we had, this is for our grant project. If you can remember, the timing didn't work out with Rock Solid, so we re-advertised. We got 4 responses. Our committee met today with Mr. Rainey and went over those 4 responses. I put a letter in y'all's packet to rank those 4. That after our meeting, we had them ranked as Rogue Trails, Progressive Trail Design, Nature Trails, American Ramp Company, 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are recommending to the council as that committee to move forward with negotiating a contract with Rogue Trails. And then if timing or something doesn't work out, we would go in succession of our ranking order. Rogue is actually the trail builder that's working on the River Park trails right now. So it seems like it's a pretty, if they're already here and mobilized, I think as far as timing, we've been really concerned with the timing because we have grant times that we have to hit. So I think it's a good thing. And we've had nothing but good luck with them so far. So.
I was so impressed with the presentations, the written presentations they made. Of course, I'm not a bike rider, so I'm not into all that, but my gosh, that's a big deal.
Yeah. Yeah, we had the four were really great submissions. It was, I mean, I think all 4 companies are capable of doing it. I think it was just trying to decide which one I think would be the best fit as far as for Cersei and what we're trying to do. So. Any questions on that?
Move it to Tuesday now.
Okay. Number 7 is to set a public hearing for September 8th. Move that forward.
Move it forward.
I wanted to mention on that too, just to give kind of a quick heads up on this grant that we're applying for. We'll have the resolution and information for that grant next month when we hold the public hearing. This is a block grant, and this is the one we've discussed on going after to help with funding the senior center at the Carmichael, those renovations. This is an up to $500,000 of grant money that could be applied to that. It seems like I think we're going to have a really good and competitive application for this. The reason I wanted to give you a heads up is we will have most likely, or we will have by that time, our estimate from Polk Stanley Wilcox on the improvements. And so the timeline and the timing of this grant application is we will have to really discuss whether or not moving forward with the funding the full project before we apply for this grant, because we've obviously, if we apply for the grant, we're committing to paying for the improvements that the grant would be going to. So I don't have the figures yet. We had a great meeting with Reese and with Deborah Dare a few weeks ago to talk about it. So we're working towards that estimate, what we feel like that estimate is going to be, a budget towards it. So we'll have that number And then, but we'll have to be thinking through, you know, moving forward with that project before we submit for that grant application. So just kind of wanted to put that on y'all's radar.
All right.
That's all I have.
You wanna tell us about the change order for Janet Street?
Yes, so Janet, they've started the work out at Janet now. One thing, just to make sure everybody's clear on, and make sure I believe Michelle put out a deal on Facebook about it too, but anyways, they're doing the flat work right now, the drainage work and all the groundwork, basically. That's gonna be done relatively quickly. The light itself has got a long lead time, several months. So the project's probably gonna sit there with the groundwork done, just waiting on the light to get in to be installed. So in case y'all get questions on, I thought that we were putting a light out there and the contractor's gone. It's just waiting on the set traffic signal. It was like a 4 to 6 month lead time to get the traffic signal. So we're hoping it'll be done by Christmas for the holiday with shopping and stuff out there. Hopefully it'll be installed by then. So, but just wanted to make y'all aware of that. So the construction on the flat work did start. There was a couple of things that were found once they got out there and started doing actual construction that necessitates this change order request. Two things. One was just a missized pipe on the plans on what's actually out there. They called for 24-inch pipes. They're actually 30-inch pipes. So this would change that. And then the pipes themselves, they were designed initially to be flared in sections on the end of the pipes. And so flared in section, it goes out and it goes out longer. Well, it was going out farther than what the survey showed into the neighboring property. And so that's gonna necessitate doing away with those flared in sections and instead doing a concrete head wall at the end of it, which is just more expensive than what was on the design plan. So the contractor asked if we could do this change order, which came to which I don't have, Mr. Whitlow, like as Bear said, is out of pocket this week. We do have the number, but we will have the actual change order itself for your packets on Tuesday, but the number of the change order is $10,266.08 would be an add. Yes, sir.
Richard, is Walmart's still on board with having this as their entrance? And if so, are they working toward being ready for that?
Yes, sir. That last time we had a meeting with them, they were. They have their own army of engineers that they want to use, and so as far as we know, they're of course such a large organization. They had to get it in their pipeline to be one of their projects moving forward. But everything we've heard up to this date, nothing has changed. That yes, they are very interested in moving off of Park, and I believe their design is to actually come off of Janet and create a stacking lane on their property. So they would basically, you turn onto Janet if you're a big truck, and then immediately you like kind of go into a stacking lane off of Janet, which would be great. It doesn't load up there on the side of Casey's or the folks trying to get to the wholesale lumber place. So anyways, but I believe they're working on it. It's in their pipeline to be one of the projects that they're working for. So yeah, you bet.
Move that forward. Okay. Next up is number 9, resolutions. First one is on a tax back economic development incentive for Dan Foss.
Good evening. Reagan Pugh is here with me. She's a project manager with AEDC, and Shane Muse and Ms. Cass are here with Dan Foss as well in case you have any specific questions. And I know that I spoke to quite a few of you guys about a project that's going on. Dan Foss, we're super excited to announce that they've been working on an expansion project for quite some time, and we've worked with the state and the Office of Skills Development on some training grants for them. This is kind of a second phase to a tax credit for some of the project that they're bringing in. So I think the numbers that I used with you guys were kind of around vague numbers, but I think I was saying approximately a $5 million project. And we thought maybe 20 to 25% of that would be eligible for this. And Reagan's probably got a few details that are a little more specific.
Yeah, I'm happy just to kind of share. Thanks for having me again. I'm with the Arkansas Economic Development Commission, and like Daryl mentioned, we've been working with Shane and the team on an incentive program that is designed to create more and better jobs for Arkansans. And so the tax back portion that the resolution we're asking to be passed on Tuesday supports is a sales and use tax refund on eligible expenditures associated with the project. I'm sure you know that manufacturing equipment in the state is exempt, and so the bulk of what Dan Foss is talking about will be manufacturing equipment, but about 10% we estimate would be non-manufacturing equipment, and the state will refund the sales and use tax all but 1%, so 5.5%, and then the tax back program offers a partnership with the county and city to refund the full city and county sales and use tax. So
Say that again.
So the Department of Finance Administration oversees the program once AEDC processes and approves eligibility for it. And so the sales and use tax refund, the resolution would approve that the city says that for the duration of the program, which is 4 years, and again, that's eligible expenditures. And so I want to flag and make sure everyone understands this is not routine expenditures, and Shane and his team understands this. This is specifically tied to an expansion project, and so it has to be creating more jobs. They're going to be reporting on the net new payroll that they create to the state of Arkansas. And then again, our estimates at this point say that with a $5 million project, we're looking at 2% of the 10% that would actually be eligible for the program.
So the state is waiving 5.5% of their 6.5%. We, the city, would waive the 2%, and then the county, we're meeting with them, and they would waive their 175 on those eligible expenses, which we think to the city probably somewhere $10,000, give or take.
Yes. Mm-hmm. And I do want to note, because I know there's some other programs and things that run through the Department of Finance and Administration. This is a little bit different than the local sales tax cap. This is money that the Department of Finance Administration oversees, and then it does not ever come to the city for us to then go to Jason and ask for it back.
That's what I was getting at.
Yes, sir, right.
Just out of the blue, we get
Right,
something back.
this
We
is-
don't know what happened and everything, so.
Correct.
I really like this disclosure, and I'm tickled about any kind of expansion, you know.
Yeah, and I know Shannon Castor, I don't know if you wanted to say a few words and explain a little bit about the expansion, and it can be quick.
Yeah, so I'm Shane Muse. I'm the HR business partner over at North America Industrial, Dan Foss. I support Searcy and all the sites in North America, but I am stationed out of Searcy. I'm a local boy. I've been in the area for a while. But this expansion project is something we've been working on for a long time, and it's kind of a different type of project. We're moving a product line from Mexico to Arkansas. And the reason why is because many years ago, Foothills Institute right here in Searcy, Arkansas, we had over 100 machinists go to that university and learn how to machine parts. And so we have the skills here to build quality parts that make it to test on the first try. So we can make the quality parts with less labor. And we have the skills right here in Searcy. And our whole project is based around re-enhancing the machining industry in this area. And I'm working with ASU Searcy on re-enhancing that program of CNC machining and bringing more jobs to the area. On the onset, we'll bring in 10 hourly jobs, average wages about $50K a year. And 2 salary jobs, average wage about $100K a piece. And then this is bringing in 40 machines, will set us up for the future to bring in a ton more work to the city of Searcy. So super excited about this project, and please consider this program. Reagan and Daryl worked with me on a lot of different projects to help incentivize this. So.
Thank you. I'm really happy about the expansion too. I think that it's what we need a lot more of it. So thank you, sir, and we appreciate the heads up on this. Thank you.
Moving forward, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The next resolution is for our SRO contracts for the school districts. Number 11 is to enter into an agreement with Davidson Engineering for the design of Fern Rogers Park.
This is a contract for Davidson Engineering to move on with the design for Fern, Cowan Rogers, but Bear's been working on it a little bit. And Bear, you want to get up and get a a little update on where we're at. He's put a ton of work into it already, taking my drawings and plugging it in, doing some grading. Yeah, thanks, Richard. Yeah, so we've got nearly a full set of drawings prepared, working through some site details. I know one of the things we're working on are the details of the fountain that Roger, or Mr. Cargill, excuse me, and I spoke about earlier this week. So trying to work through those final details. We could be ready to advertise for bids really towards the end of next week, but I think there's a decision point maybe that needs to be had first. What I'd like to do is prepare an estimate from our full set of plans next week and bring it to you at next month's meeting and let you all decide if we want to bid this out all as one project or as a phased project based on our estimates. So we're really close to being ready. If you guys decide to move forward with this, I think you hopefully would, but based on last month's meeting. But I would prefer to bring you some information next month so that y'all can decide if it's a phased project or to go ahead and do it in one fell swoop. If you remember when we presented the color drawings that I did, there was like a parking lot and there was several, the whole end phase, and then what we were kind of talking about is a phase one. And so I already had the line work drawn, so Bear went ahead and put it in the design. And I think the idea is, well, we can do an estimate on all of it and just see what it comes back to do it all. And if we need to, say, pull out the little parking lot we had added or whatever it is you want to do, if we need to save some dollars on the estimate before we actually put it out to bid. Yeah, or y'all may decide to bid it out with a deductive alternate so that we could go ahead and get the numbers and then make that decision once they're in.
I think that's a good idea.
That's what I was gonna ask, can you just list them a la carte like it's a deductible?
There's not, there's a limit to the size of it that the deduct can be from the whole project, but yes, we could work that out. Yeah. Any questions about that? Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Number 12 is the authorization to apply for a State Department of Parks and Tourism.
This is our yearly grant that we do with the state parks. This is, the last one that we did is actually our trails grant that we were just hiring Road Trails, or gonna negotiate a contract with Road Trails to do. This year, we selected a project. One of the things that's important to the state that they want to do, they're kind of moving away from for years, we would use this as a way to get new playground equipment. And a lot of communities were doing it the same. They want to kind of get away with this. They want to see and fund projects that kind of build upon other things that cities are doing. And so the project we had in mind for this year's grant application would be at the McKnight property, where we are, is one of the sites that has some trails that we're going to build with last year's grants, is to actually construct a trailhead and a parking lot off of Main, using, there's an existing curb cut that goes back to a gravel road to get to access a cell tower that McKnight's property kind of wraps around. And so using that existing curb cut and building a small parking lot, trailhead parking lot, about 6 spaces, 8 total spaces, 2 ADA spaces, 6 regular spaces, and then just a place to enter into the trail system from there. So the ask on for the grant, remember, this is a 50-50 grant, and I lost my resolution. The total project cost is estimated around $185,000 to build that parking lot. So this would be a 50-50 grant. So the request on the resolution, if you agree to go after the grant, would be the state would be paying $92.5 max, and then the city would be paying $92.5 max for the grant. So.
I think that'd be a great use for it. We need to do some development, some work on that property since it was donated to us for that purpose.
Yeah, so the trail builder that we just talked to, that's one of the trails they're building. But I think one of the ones that I remember when we initially talked about trail or what to do with that property, back when Mr. McKnight was giving it to us, how do we access it, and that type of thing. And I think there was some discussion even at the time about, having a parking lot or something. So I think this is a good way to.
I like the parking because people want to get on the trail right there and go either direction, and there's no parking.
Now, there will be a bridge that goes from the bike trail over to that property from the bike trail, but if somebody wanted to start there. Even if it's just down from the bike trail to the paved trail, so I mean, it's a good spot to, people, when I'm down there a lot, people are pulled off on the side of the road right there at the bike trail entrance to just walk to Berry Hill or walk to the school or something like that as a, just exercise. So it'd give a place for people to park just who wanna access the trail too, or the bike trails, or the green, I should say Little Red Greenway. Sorry, I got all the names. So anyways, but that's the request. We'll have a public hearing on this, on Tuesday is set to have the public hearing for this, but then, yeah, so the resolution will be for us to apply for that $185,000 total cost and $92,000 of our money towards it, so.
Tuesday, all right. Thank you, Richard. Number 13 is our resolution for grass cutting liens.
Move forward.
And then 14 is declaring 508 West Woodruff a nuisance property. And then our two ordinances, we have the establishment of the millage rate for 2026.
I always like to point out that Searcy has the absolute lowest millage rate that the state law will allow.
And we're not changing.
Okay, and then finally, the budget ordinance.
Move it forward.
Okay.
Kidding.
Is there any other business to entertain tonight?
You've done a good job presiding, Mr. Flood.
Yeah.
No, we are adjourned.
Thank you. I'll put it down. Oh, yeah. And that's what this whole research